Welcome to the Secrets of College Planning. I'm your host, Anthony Uva, and today we're going to get some insight on enrollment at the college level. My guest today is John Iacovelli, and he's the Dean of Enrollment for Stockton University. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem, John. So basically, I start my guests where they went to college. So where'd you go to school?
Well, for my undergraduate degree, I went to American University in Washington, D.C.
Okay.
I
And
then got my master's degree at then Trenton State College, which is now the College of New Jersey.
Oh, fantastic. Great. So let's just go back into high school. When did you start thinking about college? Was it freshman year, senior year? When did that all start?
Well, for me, I think I had always been thinking of college because back in the late 60s and early 70s, when I was going to grammar school and high school, that's the standard that my parents set. It was assumed that I was going to be a good student, and as a good student, I was going to continue on to college. There was not much debate about that.
Oh, great. So now, what was the process that you took in high school to pick your colleges?
Mine was a little different. And to be perfectly honest with you, I would not want students using my method when I was 17 years old. As a matter of fact, listen to what I say and do the exact opposite. Many times when I do presentations at the high school, I will bring this up as well. The number one criteria for me to pick a college was the fact that my girlfriend, who was 1 year older than me, was attending the University of Maryland. So therefore, I was going to look at every school in the Washington, D.C. area. That is not a very good way of selecting a college. As a matter of fact, by Thanksgiving of that first year, she had already dumped me. So I would not go that method. Being a professional in the business and having done this now for 4 decades, I can tell you as we go on in the show, there are a lot better criteria and a lot better advice that I can give to a student as they're pursuing the college selection process. And all of it deals with 2 key words, very simple key words: fit and feel. Find colleges that are the right fit and feel right to you when you're on their campus.
Great. That's fantastic. So how does someone go from college, I guess, when you're in school, to where you are today? So tell us a little bit about the college experience first, and then go into how you got into where you are today.
Well, for me, when I got into college, I really developed an interest in psychology. And so I pursued that as a major. But as many people know, when you're in a psychology degree, that's not the type of degree that's leading directly to a particular career path. But as I got more and more involved in coaching basketball, I found that I liked the teaching aspect of coaching basketball, but I also liked the counseling side of it. And so as an undergraduate, my experiences in athletics actually helped me to move on, not only for coaching for a few years in my younger life, getting out of college, but also formulating my career path at the time. Because I really saw myself going, which is why I got my master's degree, by the way, at the College of New Jersey. My master's is in counseling.
Wow.
And so that was my path. I think everyone has a unique path as they go through this. But I can assure you that in the younger years of my 20s, 22, 24 years old, I wasn't thinking of what I am now as Dean of Enrollment. I was thinking in terms of, if I'm an assistant basketball coach for a number of years, I might get the opportunity to be a head coach.
Right.
But what I found was, as I was working at the College of New Jersey, other opportunities made themselves available to me. And I pursued those. And one, of course, was to become an assistant director of admissions at the school back in 1977.
Wow.
So that's what got me started.
That's fantastic. So, and then how did you get to where you are today as Dean of Enrollment at Stockton University?
Through a series of things, some my doing and some the help of mentors that I had at the College of New Jersey. As I mentioned, the first few years that I was there, I was an assistant director of admissions. But around 3 years in, I was presented with an opportunity to get involved with the financial aid office and to actually become a professional in the financial aid office. At the time, I really wasn't interested in that. I didn't think that was a path that I wanted to take.
Yeah.
However, thank God I took it, because what it did, it gave me a very rounded experience of both admissions and financial aid. And the cornerstone of those two really put me in a position to become a dean of enrollment, because when you are the dean of enrollment, you have both admissions and financial aid under your responsibility.
Gotcha.
Now, at some schools, you may also have the registrar, or you may also have career planning and placement, something like that. But the two that are always in there are admissions and financial aid. So having the background in both put me in a very unique situation so that I could pursue and compete for a position such as this.
So now, what's the description of your title? What are you actually doing as the Dean of Enrollment?
Well, again, enrollment at any college or university is more encompassing than just freshman enrollment. You have both freshmen coming in, you have transfer students coming in, you have non-traditional students that are entering your school, and you're also navigating for them not only the admissions process, but as I alluded to earlier, how are they going to afford this? As you know, even a relatively inexpensive school like a state college, like Stockton University, is still a lot of money per year. Room and board, tuition and fees, you're talking about $25,000 in state. Now, yes, that's a lot less than a private school that could be $55,000 or $65,000, but still, $25,000 is a lot of money.
Sure.
So trying to navigate through that, and not only getting the student admitted to the school, but then helping them through the financial aid process, those are two very important aspects of what myself and my staff do on a day-to-day basis.
Interesting. So take me through the process of a high school student enrolling at Stockton University. What's the process that Stockton University goes through?
Well, Stockton is a fairly competitive school. We are certainly not at the level of a Princeton or a Harvard by any stretch of the imagination. But we certainly do get more applications than we do spots that are available in the freshman class. So it certainly is a competitive situation. And the biggest advice that I could give to any high school student is to be very serious with their high school grades as early as possible. Because believe it or not, when an admissions committee, whether it's at Stockton or whether it's another one of our sister schools, they're going to be looking at your academic performance from the 9th grade through the 12th grade. And so sometimes it's hard for that 13 or 14-year-old who's taking courses as a freshman in high school to realize what type of an effect that may have on their college options. But in fact, it does.
Yeah.
So you would want them to take it very seriously as they go through. Whether it's at our school or at any other competitive school, you're going to find that for most schools, the most important thing is that high school transcript. And what I mean by that is what they took and how well you did in what you took. So when you're picking classes, make sure you're getting those really strong, what we call academic units or college prep units. The ideal transcript will have at least 3 or more years of lab sciences. It'll have all 4 years of college prep English. It'll have that upward mobility of math courses going through algebra all the way through pre-calculus or calculus. Maybe, not that it's required, but maybe it'll even have 2 or 3 years of a language, whether it's German or Latin, Spanish, whatever, that they would like to take. These are the real substantive courses that you would want a student from ninth through 12th grade taking and doing well in. And if they do, it's going to open their options up for the different schools they begin looking at.
And how about SATs and things like that? What type of grades or what type of scores do they need to get into a school like Stockton?
Well, we don't have a minimum. What we like to say to students is we think we take what we call a holistic approach to the application. And although we require them to take the SATs or the SATs, I can't tell you that there's a rock bottom low minimum. What I can tell you is that on average for our regular admit students, in both the critical reading and math side of it, they average a little over 1100, around that 1110 mark. And for GPA and class rank, the vast majority of students are in the top quarter of their graduating class. So it gives you a roundabout of where we're at. But as I say, since we're reading these applications individually, we're going to look at all the different aspects of that student's academic portfolio.
Now, is there any
ACTs was just part of it.
Now, is there any extracurricular things that students you look at? Is it sports? Is it fine arts? Is it any kind of clubs or anything like that?
All of the above. And the theme that I think that they should remember is this. When you're talking about extracurricular activities or all those other things that could be in an admissions application, always think quality over quantity. And what I mean by that is, for those students who have very deep, meaningful commitments, either in the community or at their high school, that's going to go a long way when they're admitting or looking to be admitted at any college or university. So it's not just the typical, I joined the sailing club in my sophomore year, but more along the lines of, did you get involved with something substantive either in the community, such as a food drive, or some other type of activity such as that, where we can see that as each year went on, you took on more and more of a level of responsibility for that particular activity. And that's what we mean by quality over quantity.
Gotcha. So now, what are some of the differentiators that Stockton University has, or some of the new things that you might be doing?
Well, one of the things that we're very excited about this year is a new program called Exercise Science. This is the first year where we have a BS in exercise science, and there is a big difference between a BS versus a BA in that field. With the BS, what we are talking about is a very intensive curriculum that deals with heavy science, lab science courses. It's a very, very good prep for students who are looking to get into the field of chiropractor, or physical or occupational therapy. We're very excited about this particular new major. And by the way, since we're talking about majors, one thing that a lot of folks don't know about Stockton is that if you look at all 9 of our sister schools, the actual state college and university system, each year we graduate approximately 20 to 25% of all science majors throughout the entire system. Wow. So there's 9 schools, but close to 25% of them each year are graduating from Stockton. So it gives you a little insight into not only the competitive nature of Stockton, but also how strong we are in the sciences.
So what's the atmosphere at the school? What can a student expect when they come to Stockton University?
As I like to say to parents and students, there's a new category that I like them to view when they're looking at schools, and it's pretentious versus unpretentious. And when you look at a school like Stockton, you are very much on the unpretentious side of things. The vast majority of our students, well over 65% of them, work either part-time or full-time when they're going to school. And we find that when we survey our students, and this happens year after year, we get the same type of thing, where they express to us, feels like home, very supportive student body, people get along, they're supportive of each other. It's that type of an atmosphere.
Great. Yeah, that's fantastic. So, financially, at the school, is there anything that Stockton University does with the students? Is there any type of aid that students are able to apply for or anything like that?
The financial aid is a very important part of the process. We have approximately 88% of all students that are accepted to Stockton apply for financial aid through the free application for federal student aid, or FAFSA. You might be familiar with that.
Yes.
This past year, for instance, our students received a little over $112 million of student assistance, either from the school itself, from the state or federal programs, or outside private sources as well. So again, most of our students are on some form of aid to assist with that cost.
Yeah, that's great. How about extracurricular activities at the school? Is there a lot of activity that goes on at the school?
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot going on here. Now, we're Division III, which means our athletic programs cannot give athletic scholarships. But it certainly doesn't mean that we're not competitive. When you look at us as far as, for instance, basketball, whether it be men's or women's, we have been ranked amongst the small colleges for many years in a row now. Another good example is women's volleyball, probably one of the top 10 small college programs in the country. So it's a very, very competitive athletic program. But above and beyond athletics, there are something like 120 different clubs and organizations that a student can get involved with here at this school. So you will find that the vast majority of our students are involved in at least one, if not two or three things above and beyond their classwork.
And how about application-wise? Do you see a lot of students mainly from New Jersey, or they come from all over the country?
For us, a good 98% of our students come from New Jersey. But because we have some very highly specialized undergraduate programs, we do get about 2% of the students coming to us from around the region, the surrounding states. For instance, our marine biology on the undergraduate level is truly second to none. We also just started a program with Philadelphia University that's a physician's assistant program. There are not a lot of those around. So you're going to get interest not only in state, but out of state with those programs as well. And I should mention one of our larger programs, which is very popular, criminal justice. Wow. And one of the reasons criminal justice is doing so well and attracts people from around the region is because of some of the specialties that we have, whether it be homeland security, whether it be forensics. A lot of schools don't have that in their criminal justice curriculum, and we do.
And do you have any type of international students that come to the school as well?
It's been growing. As you may or may not know, we are in the process of building a large extension campus in Atlantic City. Wow. They are literally breaking ground this month and expect to have those buildings ready by the fall of 2018. And we feel that with that presence in Atlantic City and our new university status, that we're going to see as each year goes on, we're going to get more and more international student interest. And we can see it building already this year.
Wow, that's fantastic stuff going on then.
A lot going on.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as for enrollment at the school, what could you give me statistic-wise? Freshmen, transfer students, graduate students. Is the school large in compared to other schools?
Overall, we would be considered a mid-size institution. And the reason for that designation is when you look at total student body, both grad and undergrad, we're right around 85 to 8,700. And the way that breaks down is about 1,000 of them are grad students, and the other 75 to 7,700 are undergraduates. We look for an incoming freshman class of approximately 1,200, but we also take in as many as 12 to 1,400 transfer students each year as well.
Wow.
So we're really between the two. And we've always had a reputation as being one of the most transfer-friendly schools within the Mid-Atlantic region. So,
And do you keep yourself active in the state of New Jersey, going to the different high schools? Are the admissions representatives at mostly all the high schools?
with us, that is something that we are very dedicated to. We want to have, schools will allow us, we want to have 100% coverage. Every year, we want to be in every public high school at least once that year. Now, there are certain high schools that will not allow colleges to have daily visits to their school. And that can be understandable because if too many colleges show up, it could be disruptive to the learning process for the juniors and seniors.
Sure.
But for everyone who allows us in, we want to make sure we make a appointment to be there for them.
Now, do you see a lot of families starting earlier, like freshman year, sophomore year, to start getting interest from the colleges?
There are, each year, there is a little bit more each year looking earlier and earlier. And one of the things that will give them an incentive this year that a lot of people don't know is a new product that the federal government started. And it's called Early FAFSA, or PPY. Hear that. The PPY acronym stands for is prior year.
Wow.
And what it means is that the feds will now allow you to file that FAFSA in your senior year as early as October 1st. You don't have to wait until January 1st like you used to.
Yeah.
So it kind of moves the process forward in the senior year by a good 3 months. But back to your question, yes, I find more and more families starting the process of selection in the sophomore and junior year, which is the smart time to really start looking and narrowing down what are your top 4 or 5 or 6 schools.
Yeah, and do you see a lot of students? Do you see it more male or female, or it's really equal at the school?
Well, to be honest with you, if you look at the statistics nationally over the last, at least 10 years, nationally, we're looking at a 60%, 40% split. In other words, 60% of the students attending college are female, 40% are male.
Wow.
And as I said, it's been that way for at least the last 10 years.
And racially, is it pretty much diverse?
Well, that's one of the strong points of Stockton University. Even though we have been designated as a fairly competitive institution, when you look at our diversity numbers, we're doing very well. We'll take last year as an example. When you take all different categories of minority students, our new entering students made up 27% of that incoming class.
Wow.
And we have some strategies in place for this coming recruitment year where we think we can improve that up into the 32% mark in the next year or two.
That's fantastic. So we're coming to the end of our show, and usually I ask my guests, what advice do you want to give to the families out there that their sons and daughters are getting into junior, senior year high school, and they're starting to look at colleges? What advice do you want to give to those families to even look at Stockton University?
Well, it's not just looking at Stockton University, which we'd love to have all of them do, but for those parents and their college-bound students, please make the experience a fun experience. As I watch each year go by, there seems to be more and more pressure put on students, especially from their parents, and there seems to be this push to go towards what they think is a higher name brand school. If I could just get my kid into XYZ college, that's going to clear the path for them. And they start to lose what I mentioned to you in the beginning of our interview, fit and feel.
Yeah.
Those are important. What is the right fit for my child? And part of fit is things like location and choice of major and all those things, but also the feel. Do I feel comfortable? Am I where I think I need to be? Or am I pushing to get to a school that I really don't belong at, but because of its name, I think it's going to do magical things for me? This is probably the best advice that I can give to parents. And it also goes back to something I learned when I was a kid. Uh, there's an old saying with guidance counselors, and it goes something like this. It's reach, range, and safety. When you're selecting your schools, have at least one that's a reach, have one or two that are right in your range academically, and one that you would consider to be a safety school. So I guess reach, range, and safety are just as important as making the process fun.
Great. Well, thank you very much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. So you've been watching The Secrets of College Planning. I'm your host, Anthony Uva. Until next time.